As an administrator of the GoBright platform, you're going to be able to create user roles. These user roles can be as complex or as simplistic as you like. So we're going to just run through some of the different options that you've got available. So let's go into Settings and Users. And for our user roles, we can add a new user role. And this is where the options start to become important. So for this particular user role, we might want them to only allow to make bookings rather than allow them to make and manage bookings, for instance. We may only allow them for a specific location within the office that we're going to work with as well. So we might be just choosing where we want that to be. So let's say they can only make bookings in a demo office. You might also want to include different spaces into that, so that could be meeting rooms, it could be specific desks that they're going to include or exclude as part of this role. We can also limit in advance how far people can actually book. So if we wanted to say this is 10 days, then that's skipping weekends, so that 10 days would give us our 2 weeks they could book in advance. This user is allowed to create the recurring bookings, which might be fine. And if your rooms aren't integrated, then are they going to be allowed to make booking approvals if required? At the moment, team bookings for this particular user would be disabled, but we might want to enable that so that they can make those team bookings. And the team management, whether they manage their own teams or whether they manage all teams. So let's say they can manage their own teams. A decision on whether you have the visitor booths or not. And in this case, we don't want them necessarily to have access to all of our system settings because they're not that powerful a user. If you've got services, then you might want them to be allowed to manage services for their single provider, or indeed for all of the service providers as well. And if you're running the hygienic desk cleaning mode of GoBright, then that option exists where they can clean all desks or just some of those desks as well. So these user roles open up a whole feast of different menus that it's well worth discussing with a cohort of departments as to what roles are exactly required as part of your GoBright plan.